4 suspects have been arrested and charged in a sex trafficking operation. But the craziest thing is that one of them is a former assistant attorney who used her position to help the organization get properties to do the sex transactions.
Accused of operating a sprawling sex trafficking. These 4 people are facing more than a dozen charges each, accused of operating a sprawling sex trafficking scheme in Hennepin County. And one of them, Andrea Thompson, the far right of your screen there, used to work as an attorney in the Anoka County Attorney's Office. Thanks for joining us at 5 on air and streaming. I'm Rena Sargentopoulos.
And I'm Kevin Holmes. Prosecutors call this a complicated multi-year scheme designed to exploit 13 victims and then hide the money. And
there's a twist to this case. Our Lou Ragoose leads us off tonight with all those details. Lou?
Rena and Kevin, besides using the victims for sex trafficking, according to a criminal complaint, these suspects also used them as fake autism services providers and home health care workers to steal taxpayer money.
The initial details were shocking enough. 3 women, including a former assistant Anoka County attorney, all allegedly dating the same man, Frank Reeves, all charged in a multi-year sex trafficking scheme in Minneapolis.
The level of sophistication and victimization for profit is disturbing.
But on top of the trafficking allegations, there are allegations of fraud. According to a criminal complaint, Reeves, the top trafficking defendant, owned this supposed home health care company, Riva Health, along with 30-year-old Salman Elmi, and billed $2.5 million to the state for taxpayer Medicaid reimbursements. And who provided those supposed services? In some cases, the sex trafficking victims, at least in the paperwork investigators found. The complaint says one was labeled a mental health worker, another a provider for kids at Riva Autism, which was owned by Reeves and Andrea Sampson, the former attorney. Those 2 also owned housing stabilization and assisted living centers run out of various locations, some of them the same locations the sex trafficking allegedly took place.
Yo, this is one of the craziest stories I ever seen. So you mean to tell me, first of all, this man had all 4 women as his girlfriend, as the pimps, how you used to call it, would do. But then they're scamming the government, scamming the taxpayers, all while skating right behind the law and selling box at the same time. Yeah, boy, this is crazy.
Told court papers say those companies billed Medicaid $4.54 million. And Sampson isn't the only one with an interesting background. Elmi is a celebrated entrepreneur who won an award from the Department of Human Services, which administers Medicaid, ironically, as an outstanding refugee. And according to Elmi's website, Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank invested $1 million in an app Elmi came up with. If the details in the court papers are any indication, more charges could be on the way.
So he couldn't rise from that $1 million?
This represents a culmination of a multi-year investigation into these defendants that is continuing to be active and ongoing to continue to uncover additional criminal activity potentially of the work that they've done.
Now in court today, we learned that more sex trafficking victims are now coming forward. The judge set bail at $300,000 for 2 of the women and $500,000 for Reeves. The other female defendant will be in court tomorrow. And Elmi, the only one charged so far with fraud, is held on $100,000 bail. Rena?
Well, it sounds like perhaps more fraud charges might be coming for these other suspects. But did they find out about this because of the sex trafficking and then they found out about the fraud, or was it the fraud that uncovered the sex trafficking?
Well, first, absolutely, there will be more sex trafficking charges because the complaint for Elmi almost talks about the other people more than they talk about him. His role very important according to the allegations as well. As for all this, how this came to light, the sex trafficking investigation was first. It started back in 2021. That was ongoing. Then early this year, the Medicaid fraud unit in the Attorney General's office started investigating Medicaid fraud after they were tipped off by an insurer. When they started looking into these locations, they found that they were owned by these people who were being investigated by the BCA for sex trafficking. So they kind of joined up and finished off this investigation together this year.
All right, Lou.
Yeah, the world's a truly crazy place, y'all, but God, how much time do you think they should get? Let's get over into this next video and see what else it tells us.
Top story at 5:30. We're expecting more charges in an alleged multi-year sex trafficking ring brought down by Hennepin County investigators.
4 people are charged with more than a dozen counts, including a former assistant Anoka County attorney. Our Audrey Russo is live outside of Hennepin County courts, where one of the 4 defendants, Audrey, are due in court for the first appearance this afternoon.
Good morning. That's right. That's according to investigators yesterday. They said 3 folks made an appearance yesterday and that one was slated to make an appearance today for this plot that involved recruiting sex trafficking victims and posting them online as advertisements to buyers. It's just one step, the first step in a very convoluted scheme that also involved Medicaid fraud. Take a look at this picture. This is a picture of the 4 suspects involved. Now, according to court documents, 3 women, all allegedly dating the same man, Frank Reeves, who's described as the top defendant here. Now, he owned Riva Health and Riva Autism healthcare companies that allegedly billed the state millions of dollars for Medicaid reimbursements. Investigators say the identities of the sex trafficking victims were used on paperwork as phony employees at these companies. Now, the complaint lists 13 victims in all, and some of the sexual transactions, investigators say, took place at various housing stabilization and assisted living centers owned by Reeves and Andrea Sampson, the former assistant Anoka County attorney.
This just sounds like someone should have been checking. I don't know. Did no one visit the medical center to see that there was no kids around? Did someone visit the housing stabilization places to see that someone was actually living there and it wasn't just Johns going in and out? They stole so much money from the system while also running a whole organization to traffic sex workers. This is crazy. It all involved an assistant attorney. Yeah, absolutely crazy.
As you've seen here, this was a complicated scheme. This was a scheme that was designed not only to exploit the victims in these cases, take advantage of them, but also structured to hide the money and the proceeds that was done with multiple individuals, including building out shell companies, as is alleged in the complaint.
Again, investigators say these charges are only the beginning. This is a multi-year investigation here. And while 13 victims were named in the complaint, the Hennepin County attorney, Mary Moriarty, believes that there are more out there, and she's encouraging anybody who believes they may have been a victim in this scheme, in this alleged scheme, to reach out to her, contact her investigator. She said she'd be happy to talk to them.
Now, I want to know if there were any like underage people, but let's get over into the AI breakdown, y'all, and see what else we can learn. So 4 individuals, including a former assistant prosecutor, have been arrested and collectively face 104 felony counts of operating a sophisticated sex trafficking ring and exploiting at least 13 identified victims. So they were all charged, or the charges were announced on Monday, August 17th, revealing that the suspects were taken into custody on August 13th. They said the investigation spanned multiple cities between 2021 and 2026. So as we know, Frank Reeves, the leader, he recruited and coerced their women into commercial sex, advertising services as massage, set transaction rates, and personally assaulted the victims. The former assistant attorney, Andrea, she was placed on leave in February 2026 and left the employment in March. They alleged that she used her position to set up shell companies, provide properties for sex transactions, and funnel the trafficking process. So Victoria, I think that's how you say it, managed the day-by-day operations. She was responsible for recruiting victims, taking photos for advertisements, and managing booking scheduling alongside Reeves. And then last thing, Catherine owned and operated the commercial sex website where the victims were advertised and collected advertising and appointment fees directly from the victims. So investigators uncovered that the operation intertwined with a separate $2.5 million Medicaid fraud scheme. They said that Reeves and Sampson owned several registered healthcare businesses and assisted living centers, along with housing stabilization services. The ring allegedly overbilled the state and recruited fake individuals to collect the Medicaid funding. The 5th suspect, Samuel, A tech entrepreneur previously recognized by the Department of Human Services was also arrested and charged with specifically regarding the Medicaid fraud. So we know that bail is set for all of them. This is absolutely tragic. I want to know, do we know the ages of the victims? I'm assuming they would have said if they were underage. So according to the criminal complaint released, all 13 women were identified as adult women over the age of 18. Okay. That's good. That's good. Oh, hold on. So official notes that out of the 13 identified victims whose testimonies built the case, one of the victims is now deceased. I'm assuming, I'm hoping it was natural causes, but that's a weird coincidence now. But it seems like we know where these people deserve to be. They deserve to be in prison, and they deserve everything that's coming to them. The real question is, where are the checks at? Where is somebody who was looking after these? How do you operate Medicare or health facilities and no one does any checks? Isn't that mind-blowing to anybody? But this is the type of stuff we got to look at, y'all. Let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Now.